Yo, what's up, Blackish fam? I hope all is well in your corner of the world. Man, we're still adjusting, just getting a double echo. I've got a really good mic, but unfortunately, it's like it's recording the screen, and then the really good mic is also picking up the audio. And I'm just having a lot of issues with hearing that echo when not on me speaking, but on the music playing itself. So trying to get through with that has been really slowing down the amount of videos that we do. But really excited. This is the one of the day ones from our station. She told me, yo, you better check out this Sa-Roc MetaMorpheus. So I got it lined up here. That's what we're going to check out. And again, please excuse the office and the setup here. It's not my typical chalkboard. I know I look massive because the camera's looking up. We're going to get right into this. This is Sa-Roc MetaMorpheus. Trust yourself. All right, what up, Sa-Roc?
That I've been away for 10 years. The scene still familiar from Ben Road to Ben Hill. Landscape.
Where'd she go for 10 years? Did she just leave D.C.? Right? We know she's from Washington, D.C., that metro area. And that's exactly what she was referring to, right? She said, it doesn't seem real. I've been away for 10 years. What did she say? The scene's still familiar from Benning Road to Ben Hill. Benning Road, that's that, it's the Washington Metro Station, right? It's the Benning Ridge neighborhood that's in northeast DC. But it's a station, right? The Benning Road train station is there, and a metro station, which would be what, you should see the buses here. I believe it's a similar reference. Ben Hill, that's not in DC. The Ben Hill neighborhood, that's an area in ATL, right, in Georgia. I know it's known for it's predominantly black. But there's a lot of supposedly a lot of black-owned businesses within that community. But that's Atlanta, so maybe she's saying, from Atlanta to D.C., like that's her stomping ground that she's back at, right?
Been away for 10 years. The scene still familiar from Ben Road to Ben Hill. Landscape full of crabs, snakes in the grass. You don't watch them, they might off you with a blade from the killing fields. Homie, I'm a sharecropping's daughter, and I still owe. Nick.
Listen to what she said, right? She said, what'd she say? I'm a sharecropper's daughter. And we've heard her reference that before, but she said, I'm still owed, right? Listen to that.
Worked in the killing fields. Homie, I'm a sharecropper's daughter, and I still owe.
Right? After the Civil War, right, you had all these landowners that didn't have slaves anymore, but you also had all these slaves that still needed jobs. They still needed to take care of themselves, right? So after the Civil War, there was there really wasn't any cash, if you would. So they created this basically a system. Now, I've heard different stats that 2/3 of all sharecroppers were white and only a third were black. But sharecropping was technically bad. It was another way of saying slave without necessarily saying slave, right? Because there was a way of sharing debt with giving you access to land, so you can still do the work and reap some of the benefits, but none of these people had their own equipment, had their own land, right? So it basically increased the amount of debt that poor people or slaves owned the plantation owners. So again, it's really similar to slavery because you owe so much money that you're in debt to these plantation owners. So you're still out there picking cotton, you're still out there busting your ass, and you still have reaping very little to no benefit. That's deep, and we know that that's her parents. All right, she said her dad was a sharecropper.
Niggas work their way to killing fields. Homie, I'm a sharecropping's daughter, and I still owe. Niggas work their way to gold pockets, still post. Now we going to the sidelines, trying to find an ally, get an affinity for Allah. Will turn you into a scarecrow. Going to the sidelines, trying to find an ally, get an affinity for Allah. Will turn you into a scarecrow. And they say,
you know, we hear scarecrows a lot when we are talking about Muslims. I don't know exactly why, but a lot of it, like my friends that are Muslim, like I have a buddy who's he's mixed but Pakistani, he speaks Urdu, right? And you know, it's when you're a Muslim, you're not supposed to draw things like snowmen, right, with eyes and nose. You can't draw like winged beings. But the same with scarecrow, you're not supposed to worship another god, right? You're not supposed to draw someone. It's against the rules, if you would. You know, he said, now we're on the sidelines. What did she say? Trying to find an ally, right?
they're trying to find an ally, get an affinity for Allah. Will turn you into a scarecrow. And now since Jansport and Sambas, I've been on the run. Place got me.
Will turn you into a scarecrow. What do scarecrows do? They scare away the birds. But I think there's a play there, especially mentioning that Muslims, right, or Allah, that you know it's forbidden to make an image of any animal. So you can't draw human beings, right? It's something that's in your image, right? And I think that's awesome. But I love that she says there, she's just something to reference. She's painting a picture, right? She's talking about, she said,
went to a scarecrow, and now since Jansports and Sambas, I've been on the run.
Ever since Jansports and Sambas, I've been on the run. Right, Jansport, that's the book bag, right? A classic book bag company, Jansport. But Samba, she's talking about the classics, right? The classic Adidas. I believe they were originally made for soccer.
I will turn you into a scarecrow. And now since Jansports and Sambas, I've been on the run. Place got me sleep with one eye open wide, insomnia. Thought I paid dues watching my...
Right, if somebody has got you sleeping with one eye open, that means you got to watch your back, right? And insomnia is caused, it's literally, I believe, the lack of sleeping. So, which is hard to do when you have to sleep with one eye open, right? Because you don't trust the people around you.
On the run, place got me sleep with one eye open wide, insomnia. Thought I paid my dues watching my muses burning rocks, but obviously I am still mired to it.
Right, and you know, I like Greek mythology, and you hear about the muses, right? There's 9 muses. They're goddesses of different arts, right? There's music, there's dance, there's poetry. They've all been blessed with these wonderful talents, but they also possess great beauty, grace, allure, right? And that would really tie into her. I hate always referencing her beauty because I'm a married man, but you know, she's blessed, right?
Thought I paid my dues watching my muses burning rocks, but obviously I am still mired to a debt that I can wander from. That's Chalk City. Bucks burning rocks, but obviously I am still mired to a debt that I can wander. I paid my dues watching my muses burning rocks, but obviously I am still mired to a debt that I can wander from. That's Chalk City. Buck 50.
Chalk City, she said, right? She said, right. I'm still. Is she married to a debt?
Rocks, but obviously I am still mired to a debt that I can wander from. That's Chalk City.
You're talking about someone being your muse, right? It's someone who could also be your inspiration, the source of your inspiration. That's probably what she's talking about. Now she also says Chalk City, which is interesting. If I don't know if you guys, you know, I like the history of the United States, and I try to follow these movements. But in 1957 in D.C., they became the first large city in the United States where it reached a tipping point. Shout out to Malcolm Gladwell, The Tipping Point. Excellent book if you haven't read it. But it was a tipping point where D.C. actually, the majority is black. And as people started calling it Chocolate City because of the shift. Now, yeah, it was because of you know, the expanding black population during the baby boom. But I think there was a little bit of what we call white flight, right, where white people move out of an area because they notice more black people moving in. So white people leaving, more black people moving in. The baby boom, that's what turned into Chalk City, right? Chocolate City.
Buck 54, but obviously I am still mired to a debt that I can wander from. That's Chalk City. Buck 54, the Glock, any stop. Well, hustle send the Sonic to Atlantic Ocean, penny stop. Starts to fade whenever.
And the hustlers, right? Like they used to say that about me. I was involved with in the corporate world, what's called professional sales and marketing. They always say, "Man, you could sell water, you could sell ice to someone living in an igloo, right? You could sell, yeah, bro, that's your job. That's what you have to do, right?" What did she say? Where hustlers sell Dasani to Atlantic Ocean penny stock, I believe she said. But it's the same reference, right? I remember once I sold a commercial web design package to a blind man, and everybody was like, "What? Yo, do what you gotta do, bro."
I am so mired to a dead that I can wander from. That's Chalk City. Buck 50 for the Glock, any stop. When hustle send the Sonny to Atlantic Ocean, penny stop. Luster starts to fade when the fresh coats every winter stop.
She said luster starts to fade when the fresh coats every winter stops, right? What's luster? That's like a glow, right? A sheen, if you would. It affects the appearance of something, especially a metal, if you're not constantly painting it.
The Sonny to Atlantic Ocean, penny stop. Luster starts to fade when the fresh coats every winter stop. I learned all I needed between these educated city blocks.
Woo! That could be a play on words too, right? She said, "I learned all that I needed between these educated city blocks." That's a play on between, right? I learned everything I know on these city blocks, but also maybe she learned it as a tween, which is that balance between a child and a teenager, right? Tween.
Bars like vocal analyses, probing deep in your maladies. How the freak can you challenge me? I'm the people's champion.
Bro, her vocabulary is incredible, right? She said maladies. Maladies you don't really hear in everyday language, but it basically means illness, right, or a disease. Get a little bounce in it.
Bars like vocal analyses, probing deep in your maladies. How the freak can you challenge me? I'm the people's champ. See, this is me.
She said Ali, right? The people's champ, Muhammad Ali, or Cassius Clay. And I always love, a lot of people always ask, right? Why do you call him Cassius Clay? That's his name, right? Cassius Clay was the name that his mama gave him, but he changed it. And you ask him, why did you change your name to Muhammad Ali? He said, I took the name of the Honorable Elijah Muhammad, and he was the one that opened my eyes. And I've always been curious about that story, and because you hear Malcolm X, right? He doesn't have a last name. Muhammad Ali changed his name. And what Malcolm X would say is, he said that the owner of your people in history was the plantation owner. And when you left and you became a free person, you normally took their last name. So he says, man, why would you honor that person? If your name is Jerry Washington, there's a plantation that is probably the Washington plantation. And why are you honoring that man? So change your name, right? And that's why he changed his name. That's why you get Malcolm X, and that's why you have Muhammad Ali from Cassius Clay. But they called him the people's champ. And that's what she just said. She said, how the freak can you challenge me? I'm the people's champ, Ali. But she said it so quick.
He's probing deep in your maladies. How the freak can you challenge me? I'm the people's champ. See, this is stupid. I'm leaking into your psyche, enticing those seeds to flowers by sonnet. Peep the analogy.
The sonnet, right? It's just, again, she's just showing how lyrical she is and how deep her vocabulary is. She might mess around and be a nerd like me. I never thought I'd say that I'm a nerd, but I just did a breakdown that was like a 2-hour breakdown of this really lyrically dense artist. And it was actually fun. I felt like I was doing a crossword puzzle or some trivia. It's like, damn, am I showing my age? I never thought I'd be that dude, right? But I actually enjoy this. But, but her saying sonnet, a sonnet is like a short rhyming poem. A little bit different, but in this sense, that's probably the best way to describe it.
I'm leaking into your psyche, enticing those seeds to flowers by sonnet. Peep the analogy. Maybe it was Providence polishing its crystal from gravel. Cause high society shun you out their existence to babble. No one seems to understand it.
Man, her references, right? Now the religious reference, when you start talking about Babel, she's talking about Babylon, right? But I think she's talking about, she's like, cause high society shun you after existence in Babel, right? You think of Babylon, you think of the Tower of Babel, right? That was one of the, I think it was the first skyscraper, but it was in the vibrant metropolis of Babylon. It's where Iraq is today. Now, this was an area, it was like called the City of Cities, right? But it eventually fell into ruin, just like most great civilizations eventually have their demise.
Words are too twisted in fragments, crumbling and decomposing on the lips of the tragic. Despite it all, the writers with a voice one-dimensional. Their one line is fraught with cliches, non-original. Almost like
she's talking about other rappers, right? She said, despite it crumbling and decomposing, right? She said something about the lips of the tragic. And then she said, despite it, all the writers are one-dimensional, right? They're a one-trick pony. She said all they got is one-liners with cliches, not original.
Five is one-dimensional. Their one line is fraught with cliches, non-original. Almost like spiralize these charades, analytical. Naked truth in the midst of masquerades, it's so critical. Daddy's in the bottom of the bottle, cause he think I'm lost. Keep verses bright, but modicums of shade to get my point across.
Did she say modicums?
The bottle, cause he think I'm lost. Keep verses bright, but modicums of shade to get my point across. This is just
modicums. That's another word you just don't hear every day, right? She's basically saying modicum is a small quantity of a greater thing, right? Or any one thing, especially something that's considered valuable, right?
But one of many pick 'em lost. Keep verses bright, but modicums of shade to get my point across. This is just but one of many pages in the catacombs. The makings of a pharaoh from favelas. That's ironic, huh?
Yeah. Favelas, that's another way of saying like a slum, a ghetto, if you would.
The makings of a pharaoh
she did a little pose.
That's ironic, huh?
I like this. Break it down a little bit, alright? Let that beat ride, shit. What's he reading? Goddess Gang, alright now. No one's gonna change it by us, but us, right?
So close and so far. Ain't that a pity? Trading freedom for just enough. Land of the pity. No one's gonna change it but us. Bye, 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 bye.
That's nice. That's something I could listen to on a playlist, right? Not as much wordplay as some of her other songs, not as many references. So this one wasn't as dense, right? But it's definitely something to vibe to. She's showing her lyricism, that she's still dropping some little vocab gems, but it's good. It's something you could just vibe out, let it ride in the background while you're doing dishes, right? Like, ooh, right? I like that, man. We're going to get into some more Sa-Roc. Again, she's one of those artists. There's only a few. I could count them on one hand of artists where I just was not disappointed. So I like the music. We're going to continue getting in her catalog. And shout out to the comment section, man. I really love when you guys are feeding me stuff because I try to get a good view of who an artist is. I never want to listen to songs that are exactly the same. I want to kind of explore their catalog. So, man, I love when you guys can actually feed me stuff that I can check out. So, if you're a fan of good music, intellectual breakdowns, make sure to not just like the video, but subscribe to the channel as well. Show some love, and we'll see you on the next video. Peace.